Not working. Is it working?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Hi, what's up? Welcome to my show. You can ask, this isn't how it worked yesterday. It went
oh, we played bang, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Jhonen, who the hell are you?
I'm not going to tell you who the hell I am.
What do you do?
Come on.
Oh.
They don't know what I do.
Well, that's true. You draw funny pictures and put words in the mouths of things and invite us in.
That's a very funny Luigi costume you're wearing.
So look, let's just open the floor.
It's sort of like a mushroom thing. Yeah. Like, what is it filled with? It's Luigi.
Sleep on her hat when she gets home. So look, this is Jhonen Vasquez. He's right here. Let's open the floor to questions straight out the bat. I'll run the mic over to you. Lucky first.
Okay, this might sound a bit weird, but I was just wondering how you came up with the Easter platypus that hands out Easter shrimp.
Okay. I have no idea what you were talking about. Honestly, it just sounded like the stupidest thing at the time, and we went with it. The idea is that, it's the future and future health. Zim was never actually supposed to be normal Earth, so the holidays weren't exactly the normal thing. So the Easter platypus made the most sense. It was the logical and most, platypus thing we could come up with. That's it. There's no huge story. There's no amazing, epic tale for the origins of the Easter platypus. All right.
Did you ever think of making a cartoon version of Johnny the Homicidal Maniac?
I've thought about it, yes. I've thought about cartoon versions of everything possible, but I've never thought of actually making a Johnny cartoon. I thought of making a Squee cartoon, but again, it's not one of those things where when I think of things to actually pitch to people and whatnot, those aren't top on the list. I always just wanted to do something a little different, and I don't know how visually interesting that would be over time, because I tend to like the more sci-fi stuff. I mean, Squee got, aliens are in it, but it's not, it's not, you can't really have Squee in space unless he suddenly appears in space and chokes to death. It's like a 2-minute episode, I really want it to slow motion in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Was that a hand? There we go. All right. They're only up there.
So, Jhonen, how you doing? I don't know the whole story, but Zim got cut off. Nickelodeon didn't want to continue with the series. Are you going to do some more Zim?
No. I answered this yesterday, so but the question that I will get is, I'll get it until I die. I'll be on my deathbed, and my great-great-grandchildren, the doctors, should be like, "They're coming back! They died!" No, I have no road to Zim. It's not mine anymore. When I signed up, when we started the show, you basically sign up and say, Nickelodeon owns the rights to these characters and to basically Zim itself. So, I made everything up, it's my show, it's my characters and stuff, but in terms of the ability to take it elsewhere, I can't legally do that. I get a lot of emails asking, why don't you take it to Cartoon Network or this and this, but it's not mine. And again, if I could, I don't think I would. There's so much other stuff that I want to do that Zim for me is like another life, It's cool.
Just keep up the good work, because whatever you're doing is fucking awesome.
Thank you very much.
Love your work. Cheers.
Anyone else get a question? This is Jhonen. Oh, there we go.
Do you plan on continuing your work with Mindless Self-Indulgence?
I don't know. It's just one of those things that kind of pops up. It's happened twice. In the case of like the video, I tend to have fans in various places, and Jimmy was a fan, and they contacted me and asked if I wanted to do the video, and I said sure. With the album artwork, again, they just sort of popped up. I don't seek stuff out from people. I don't go, can I do your album cover for you? But it's actually very flattering when you find out that, other creative people want you to do work with them. And it's nice to be able to have the choice, to do stuff like that. So if they popped up again for something else, I mean, I don't know. Maybe. That's my answer, maybe. Anybody else?
What kind of inspiration have you had, or has influenced you, artistically or story-wise, in your work?
Her Puffy Luigi, which will influence the scope of my work from this day forward. Everything I do will be Puffy and Luigi. I don't really know how to answer that question. I mean, just growing up, whatever it is that I took in growing up, and whatever it is that I see, I can point to the big obvious influences for me, which, growing up were just horror movies, and, I always say David Lynch and David Cronenberg, stuff that I don't know if my fans give a shit about, but, I tend to not give a shit about what a lot of my fans like. So it works out. They can run.
After writing Jonathan's on May, did anyone recommend psychological counselling for you?
No. Oh! Your question was so bad, it's shocking. It's like, it's so stupid! No, actually. I've gotten, it's been pretty smooth sailing. I've never gotten letters from parents or anything like that. I mean, the people that read my stuff are the people that know my stuff. I hope. I don't get people going, oh, I hate murders, I hate this, but I'm going to pick up this comic book and buy it and read it. Oh, God! Why would they? I mean, every now and then I get, an email from a kid saying that their parents threw away their comics or something like that, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, buy more. And I do. But I've never gotten anyone seriously thinking I'm crazy or anything like that. I mean, I get fans who think I'm crazy, and therefore they should act crazy to, sort of be memorable. When really, someone comes up and just speaks a full, well-spoken bit of English, I'm like, oh my God, I will never forget you. And I don't. So, no. The answer overall is no. But thank you for asking.
Hi.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Jhonen, the homicidal maniac, he is confronted by his greatest fan. I was wondering if that was inspired by someone in real life.
No, not anyone in particular. No, but there's a lot of that stuff sort of pops back into the books. It's fun to just sort of take this. It's very surreal, It's very surreal to have people not just like what you do, but then to sort of personify you as something more than just a guy that just draws shit. It's just a person that is like, living and breathing like everyone else. And it gets creepy. But it's also funny to make fun of, Because I was never like that. I mean, I'm a big fan of things growing up, but I've never really given a shit about the people. Like, I wouldn't be here sitting with you guys. He's the guy that does that thing. Although, no, what? I sat through a panel, a Blade Runner panel, because it was cool. All the guys were just joking and stuff, but all the women, like Sean Young and stuff, they're all very serious and actressy, and boring as hell, And then James Hong was up there going, that. I just did just now. But in terms of the crazy fan stuff, yeah, that just the idea of having an audience at all is a bit unreal feeling, and you just never get used to it. It's just best not to focus on it, not to think about the audience when you're working, unless that becomes part of the work. Look, I feel sick, the idea of your work starting to tell you what to do, creating something that suddenly takes over and thinks it should determine what it is that you do next. Like in my case, I would just be doing Johnny or Zen for the rest of my life if I listened to people, and I would be in hell, and I'd be trying to figure out a way to kill everyone that was making me do it. But yeah, it is influenced. It does influence the work. It's just not. It's not any one person. I don't think I've ever written about a specific person because I never had one specific person amazing enough to devote that much time to. Except for the Luigi cat. That's just the best. You're gonna have to come here for a lot of time. This is a little uncomfortable for me, so I feel a lot better if you're a puffy Luigi next to me. Just,
What can we expect from the next animated series if there's one in the making?
Lots of child pornography. No, seriously, lots of child pornography. Honestly, I go around with a couple of things. I get contacted by people asking for ideas again, just like the Nickelodeon thing. But it's difficult because people come to me thinking that I'm the guy that does shows for kids. So I go and have these meetings and I'm talking about things that aren't exactly suitable for kids. But most of the ideas that I have are generally in the same kind of vein as it's another science fiction thing. I can't tell you if it'll ever happen. It came close until they sort of wanted to make it more child-friendly. And that was also like walk away. I said, thank you, but no, I'm probably going to be a hobo on the streets because I'm passing up opportunities like that. But I'd rather be working on something that I gave a shit about, that makes more sense for the kind of stuff that I want to do. But generally, science fiction, comedy sort of stuff, just, in that same vein, sort of the Hitchhiker's Guide sort of stuff, which I really don't know where that would fly. I don't know where that would be suitable. I mean, even Sci-Fi Channel or Sci-Fi Channel, anymore, or 50 or whatever.
Named after a venereal disease.
Oh, my slow dog on the
Have you thought about doing any live action stuff?
No! No, I didn't hear you.
Have you ever thought about doing any live action? Like you did a music video for Mindless Self-Indulgence, but have you ever thought about making short films or features?
Yeah, I would love to do short films and features. It's just, it's difficult getting, especially when you come from something that you're trying to prove that you're capable of doing that, and all they see is your comic books and your cartoon, your animated work. So, but yeah, that's part of the plan. Most of the stuff that I've been working on again is back in animation, but nothing sort of live action at the moment. I mean, I had some stuff that popped up, but things just come and go. Things just sort of, the ground falls out from beneath you, and no luck yet, but I will keep you updated.
Have you considered doing a video game?
Yes. Yes. That's my love, That's my big thing. I mean, right now I'm doing just doing some promotional work for a game that's coming up. That is, it's a quick job that I was like, hell yeah, I love that. The sequel to something that I was a huge fan of. In terms of actually making stuff, I'm in the very early stages of dealing with people about, talking about possibly doing maybe things. But that's the kind of thing that you probably won't hear any results from for, who knows when, if ever. It's just how this stuff works. It's just so dicey. And I tend to have a curse where anytime people approach me from video game companies saying, we want to do a game with you, I'm like, okay, and then they just explode. They just die, they get fired. The whole team gets fired. So now I warn people when they come to me. I'm like, before you even begin talking to me about doing a game, you have to know that you might vanish off the face of the earth. Like that Twilight Zone episode where the guys come back from space and they just keep and that's what happens to them. And it's funny.
Anyone else got a question? Because I've got a question for Jhonen. I'll ask it because I've got the mic. Jhonen, design your ultimate video game. If those people weren't disappearing off the face of the planet, you could collaborate with anyone to make anything.
It's all very vague. I know that there would probably be just a shitload of Luigis.
Luigi, shitload of Luigi.
Luigi's Dust Game.
Did you ever think it'd be a place around now when someone buys a picture of you in an airplane for several $100?
Wasn't that fucked up? I just kept wanting to, I was like looking at them going, no. And then it just got higher and higher, and I was like, yeah, more of that. No, I didn't. I still don't. I'm still surprised when stuff like that happens, you know? Like, honestly, I go from, and it's always been like this, I go from, you know, just days where I don't even open my mouth except to eat, or I don't speak to people. I stay in my house, and I just work, and I play lots of video games, and I dream up the Luigi game. And then I come to, something like this, and someone is just a whole bunch of people that I'll never know. You know, it's surreal. It's basically like 0 to like 100 to, in a day, where this just isn't real. This is my life. So I don't consider people buying my stuff like that. You know, it's cool when they do. It's incredibly flattering when they do, but it's never going to be. It's never not going to be strange to me. You know, I didn't start off thinking I'm going to be a huge star or anything like that. It's just cool that people like what we do, and the flies especially. I just imagine I'm crawling with flies. This is really unsettling. And he those little fans that they keep pigeons off, off the billboard. But it's weird, all right?
Any more questions to venture into the weirdness?
Put flies in the video game.
Yeah, flies from
Were you happy with the voice acting in your magazine?
I hated it. No, it was the worst thing in the world. It was great. That was one of my favorite parts of the show. Oftentimes, the animation would come back. It's frustrating because I'm sitting there and I write a script, and I'm sitting there, I'm writing in my office, and like, wow, this is the best thing in the world. That was amazing. What show am? And then you hand the script off, and then you give it to the board artists. The board artists, they add their own thing, and I still have control over that because they're just in the hall. And sometimes they'll, some of them, they got the acting, some of them didn't, but overall it was still there. And there's no timing stuff in that yet, because the timers have to take it over. But each step of the way, things would, you lose a bit of something, or maybe someone would actually add something that you didn't intend that would make it better. But then it goes overseas, and then you're at the mercy of the overseas animators, and sometimes it would come back and you're like, oh my god, they did it, this is it, this is my show. Very rarely did I ever feel like the show felt like the show. And then oftentimes it would come back and it would just be a little weird, it just wouldn't work. And the joke that you wrote just isn't funny, it just wasn't a joke anymore because the timing was off or whatever. And so when we got to the voice sessions, we had all the animation and the show was locked, and there wasn't really anything you could do to it by that point. So, you know what? No, I'm getting it wrong. Actually, the board artists worked according to the voice session that we did initially. But then after that, when the show would come back and it was a little off, and we do ADR where we'd have the voice actors back in to, fix dialogue and stuff. That's when it was really fun because we're like, holy crap, this doesn't work. We'll just throw a bunch of random dialogue in, Like we have, do you remember there's a scene in Walk of Doom, which is one of the most hideous, awful episodes to me. I can't stand it. It's ugly as hell. It's one of the worst episodes ever. You should never watch it. No, seriously. And it came back, and we had a scene where, I think there was a scene that introduces like a bank. And there's a guard that walks by, or a policeman, or someone walks by, and they had drawn him about 10 times as big as he should have been. So he walks by in the foreground, and he looks like a colossus, just a huge thing just walking by. And so how do we turn that into, that just looks like, people watch that and go, God damn, this shit sucks. Look at this bad animation. So, I think we had Ricky, the voice of Gur, we had him come in for ADR, and we had him voice over this huge, and when we pitched it down, this. So now it looks like we very intentionally, but for no good reason, have a giant man walking around. And to me, as much as I hate that episode, it's also one of the most hilarious to me because it's full of stuff like that. Just awful stuff that we knew what the problem was. But people watching the show would go, I don't get the giant man walking by. And that's stuff where working with the actors and the voice acting was probably some of the most spontaneous. Because everything else is so regimented. It's so, restricted. So yeah, I was very happy with the actors that we had because they were all just idiots. They liked to play. We early on in the show, I basically sort of set it up so that none of the official people could come in. It's like, leave us alone. We're just fucking around. And that worked out great because they would come in, the voice actors would come in and just have a good time until I would yell at them. It was terrible. And I'm like laughing, and I was just getting to basically scream at people, and they would scream, and the whole show was screaming. But yeah, I was very happy. That was one of my favorite things about the show. It's just the voice actors. But their poor throats by the end of every session. They were just ripped. Their throats were just ripped to shreds from screaming. We have the read through, and then we have a session at the end where we just have random screaming because we drop it into the episode at various points, and they would just leave, touching their throats, and they wouldn't work again.
I've been looking for ages, and could you tell me where some of the bloody girls are in Invader Zim?
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. Those weren't even my idea. Those were, I think, Chris Graham's, one of the board artists. He did the Flying Pig bit. And they came to me and said, hey, what do you think of this? Because they were always doing that, sort of like, what do you think of this? And they showed me this drawing, they did Bloody Gur. And they're like, we want to, like, subliminally put it into episodes here and there. I actually don't know how many, one or two. And when I'm doing my thing, I'm just like, approved. And they go, and that's, they don't show that to the studio. They just try and sneak it in. And they snuck it in. And I saw a guy actually, I signed someone's book who had a sort of like a bootleg Bloody Gur shirt, which I think is cooler than the crap they say about that. But I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. He probably knew more than I do.
There's someone over here.
There's someone over here.
There is.
Hi, I was just wondering if perhaps you're a fan of Tim Schafer's work?
Yes.
Are you looking forward to Brutal Legend?
I am actually. That's a game company that always puts stuff. Like, even if I don't love the game, like Psychonauts, I couldn't get through it. I got to that opera stage. Did you get to the opera level where the game stopped being funny, and I was playing it because of the character and the environments. And then I got to that level, and the mechanics took over, and the mechanics weren't fun. So I gave up, but I always recommend that game because it's brilliant. But I hope Brutal Legend is actually cool and good, But yeah, I'm a huge fan of just the style and the character that they managed to. I mean, it's very rare to play a video game and get a sense of personality. I go back and I think of stuff like Earthworm Jim, where you remember, this feels like a person made this. And yeah, a whole team of people made it, but there's a personality that comes through. I can't think of too many games where personality is actually a big deal. It's all postural. It's like, Gears of War, where it's like, I'm huge, me too, let's shoot. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And you think how great, like when you're talking about Gears of War 2, you would read all these articles where Epic is talking about how this time it's going to be fun for me. It's just a sort of little, and it takes like a few seconds for me to just, it's another avenue of writing and not, I don't tend to use that stuff the way people stereotypically would. Like, I've got a MySpace, I've got a Twitter, and all that sort of stuff. And you get this kind of, smarmy response, like, well, why do you have a MySpace? I'm like, I never thought you'd have a MySpace. I'm like, what's wrong with you? And, like, the MySpace I use is basically just, promotion for my journal usually. It's a link to my journal. It's a way of sort of gathering people and letting them know that this is out or this is happening or I just made this thing up. Same with the Twitter. It's just, I tend to just bullshit on it, you know? I mean, most people will, the stereotype is that they're just writing about their lives, and I wouldn't even write about my life because it's fucking boring, you know? I don't really want to be part of that sort of desperation, that sort of sad, please acknowledge my existence before I die kind of thing. You know, it's like, I'm eating a cantaloupe. You know, or I'm bored. Which is the saddest thing in the world for me, you know? And the last thing I really want is for people to know me. You know, like I'm not going to tell a bunch of strangers what I'm doing. And I have no interest in that. I'd rather just make shit up and have fun with it. But not everyone thinks that I'm, making shit up. And those I really don't respond to it. They're like, why are you so mean to your fans? Why do you hate us? You know, which I've always found funny because I get a lot of that. I get a lot of people sort of getting very defensive about me insulting fans. And the thing is, that usually comes as a response to when I'm speaking specifically about some crazy fucking fan. So then someone will respond and go, I'm offended. And I'm thinking, you're raising your hand and saying, I'm a crazy fucking fan, please, be nicer to me? Sorry, I got a little excited there.
Hi, I'm a Gears of War fan, and what you said sort of pissed me off.
I'm a Gears of War fan, okay? Because I like the game. I played through it, wanted to, obsessively, but do you honestly think that's good writing?
Yes.
Dead person.
In the second game, they gave you a limited amount of story to keep you, attentive.
You gave a shit about John's wife?
Yeah.
You cry and she falls out of that coffin thing?
No.
It's all like rotting and you're like, I don't know this lady.
It wasn't right when the coffin opened.
Hallucinating that she was all blue.
Yeah, that's right. That was really well done.
I appreciate the fact that she was destroyed and stuff, but I didn't know her. You never met her before. In the first game, if they had set up that Dom was like a total white-loving guy, and he had flashbacks in between games of them running on the beach or something. But the fact that they just introduced her, suddenly she just appears and you're like, what, they give a shit? I'm like, I don't give a shit about this rotting hut. I don't, it's the kind of writing where, like, if you're going to write badass dialogue, I can appreciate badassery. I can appreciate, like, The Matrix, the first one, where they're just badass in the fighting room. But there's just a point where it's so generic. It's like, what am I thinking of? Like, Iron Man. I dug Iron Man. I liked the first half of it a lot more because he was a drunk and he was a womanizing lout and it's like, he's amazing to me, But there's always that point in the movie where the hero becomes heroic and very sincere and, as a result, boring. And you've got Jeff Bridges playing the villain, right? And Jeff Bridges is Jeff Bridges. He's the dude. He's sitting there and he's charming. He's got pizza. And then he gets in the suit at the end of the movie, and Jeff Bridges is gone. Because suddenly, because it's an action comic book movie, they think, the audience is going to want to hear, you don't stand a chance, and is that the best you can do? That's not a person anymore. That's fucking generic dialogue. And that makes it into big movies. Those movies do huge. I'm so bored by the end of that stuff. As soon as he turns into that, all I'm thinking is, all right, the movie's going to end, and he's going to probably explode, and it's over. There's no character to it. Gears of War was not that bad, but it's that level of, well, guys that are going to be playing this are guys who like guns, they want to shoot shit. Aliens is guys shooting shit. It's people blowing things up and things are exploding, but there's characters. will take up the rest of this whole thing talking about Transformers now.
Got 10 minutes. Sorry, we do now, wouldn't we? All day.
Hi.
It wasn't Megatron. It was I went in going, I want to hate this movie, but hopefully there'll be some cool robots, because it's like the same, you know? But I get so angry in these movies that are like color, like I grew up, that's a movie that's supposed to appeal to me, because I grew up, you know, with Transformers, you know, from the 80s, I'm like, of course I play Transformers. And then the movie shows up, and, you know, they don't show Megatron till the very end, and there's all these fanboys all around me, and it's a huge audience, and they they're like, I don't know, it's like 20 minutes left of the movie, and they say, oh, this guy's Megatron, and we call it Megatron. And the audience goes nuts. And I'm thinking, that's all it takes? That's not writing. That's just a reference to your childhood. And because you're so slavish, you're like, yay, everyone loves Megatron, and now like, and then they transform into a gun, I hate people. Your question.
I was going to ask what's your weirdest fan experience, but I think he might have topped it.
Let me choke on water real quick. Weirdest fan experience? Someone put their head really close to mine yesterday. They were like, can I take a picture with you? And I was like, sure. And then they came up, and they didn't really hug me or anything, but they came up and their face was touching mine. And I was really uncomfortable. I didn't know who they were. It's just, when you're feeling someone else, some complete stranger's heat, it was disgusting.
So many people probably don't know what Hot Topic is, but will Hot Topic ever get Johnny or Squeeza? Do you know?
They did initially. I think they stopped carrying that stuff. I think they were trying to sort of change their image or something back in the States. I don't know. Your Hot Topic isn't here, right? No, they picked my stuff up pretty, like, around the time I was working on Squeak. And they had it for a long time. I don't know if it's there anymore. I think they might still carry a couple of t-shirts and stuff, but all they do is pretty much just end merchandise now. But honestly, I don't know. Right to Hot Topic. I don't deal with that stuff.
So many more questions for Jhonen. In your work, you've got reference to basically a lot of stupid people in everyday life. Is that something that like really frustrates you when you use your work to sort of deal with it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, in various ways. When I was doing Johnny, you know, I was 19. It's probably like 19 up to 21 or so. And everyone sort of fantasizes about being able to just do away with it's the basest possible, you know, idea behind, you know, just this fantasy revenge thing. But as time went by, I kind of got further away from that and sort of reversed it. Because it's easy to just say, this person's stupid, I'm smarter than them, they deserve to die, you know? If you think about that, that's an incredibly arrogant way of thinking. And it's just incredibly sort of single-minded. So I love now sort of just making fun of people that think they know better. It's in everything. I mean, even in Zim, which isn't the deepest thing in the world, but I love the idea of these, you know, superior beings just being idiots. You know, and Zim has this amazing arsenal and he's from this supposed, you know, superior race, but it's just an idiot. You know? And I look at Johnny in the same way. He's just a laughable character. To me, he's a laughable character. If ever I brought him back, I probably would have so much fun making him exactly the character that a lot of the more obsessive fans would hate to see. A character that isn't really the hero, you know? Which is, I said this yesterday, most of the fun in doing something new is in really upsetting the people that like your work. You know? If I don't hear, oh, when they find out what I'm doing next, I'm not happy. Because if I'm doing something that they expect and if they want, then it's predictable, you know? I could easily do more Jhonen, you know, if I could do more Zoom, I could, there's a lot of people that want to see that, but where's the fun in that, you know? Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about now. What's that?
Time enough for another couple of questions before.
Who has another couple of questions?
A little boy down here.
Yeah.
What was your best episode?
My favorite episode was probably, I've got 2, or 3 or 4. I like Backseat Drivers. Backseat Drivers for me was probably the most epic and actually the most contained episode that kept this sort of frantic momentum from beginning to end. I love that episode. If I show people something from the series, I generally show them that because I think it's the most impressive. It's got the action and it's closer to what I wanted the show to be like because I like the outer space stuff. I like the Resistee and I like the new characters, and I wanted the show to be that, as opposed to them on Earth at school, which, you know, for me, you know, as a kid, I liked seeing people in outer space. I didn't want to be in school. So, well animated. It's one of those few episodes where I got to actually sort of pick the guy that I wanted to storyboard it and do all the, pick the right overseas team to animate it. Aside from that, I like Abducted, because I think it's one of the stupidest episodes. Everything about that episode is stupid, right down to the action sequence where it's just a girl walking with dramatic music, and then dropping just a few feet back to the house. And the aliens' feeble attempts to stop them, they're just doing this, you know? And I like Polonius Maximus. I like the first half of Fry Cook, but I hate the second half. It just turns into action, but it's not funny action. But yeah, I have Polonius, Backseat Driver, and Abducted.
Our final question over here.
You see your
Wait, hold on, what's your favorite episode? Grandma's Crazy Stuff. Wow, that's a scary one. That episode was specifically, we wanted it because Duran becomes such a cute thing that we're like, let's make an episode that really upsets Gert Band because it's actually just demonic. Kevin Matthew, who did the music, I mean, everything about that episode was just too intense by the end of it. The scoring session, I sat down with Kevin, and I sat him down with, I brought in some of my music, some of my soundtracks, I'm a big soundtrack fan, and I played him the final battle music from Ravenous, and said, I want this music, because it's like a 11-minute piece, starting where Guy Pearce is like, I'm gonna go kill that guy, and it's just this chanting, building, this horrifying skip, and by the end they're just, it's awful, and I'm like, I want that for the end of this episode, and so the music was just, a little scarier than usual, so that's awesome, man, you like that episode.
Final question.
You said you like stuff with a storyline, but then why did you release the Bad Art Collection, which was sort of like a sketchbook put into a comic?
I did that when I was in high school. I'm not kidding. I did it when I was in high school. The first half of it is probably when I was, a senior in class, and just sitting there drawing comics in class and showing to my friends and us laughing and getting detention. And then the second half I did probably a few years out of high school. But that is definitely not a narrative piece. I mean, if anyone looks at that and gets to the end and goes, I don't understand, that's not my problem.
Well, Jhonen, I'm sure you've left everyone here just as perplexed as they were when they walked in. Well, I certainly hope so. Here we go, batshit crazy for Jhonen.